Hello, Champion School of Real Estate. Wonderful students, fantastic customers. We are so happy to have you join us today. And I'm Rita Santa Maria. I'm the owner, founder of Champion School of Real Estate. And as you know, every month we have the privilege to interview some of our superstar graduates. Many have been a real estate licensee professional for a long time and have become superstar status. Others in a short time. And whatever long time, short time, they give you their fantastic techniques to how they jump started their career and ended up being in the creme de la creme level that they are in real estate. And I am so delighted today to be able to have you meet and hear from one of our superstars from Wichita Falls, Texas. And I want you to please help me welcome Tanya Ruff with Hershey Realty out of Wichita Falls. Hi, Tanya. How are you?
Hi, Rita. I'm well. Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Well, I am delighted. We are delighted because you bring to our interview today a lot of really interesting, new, different ideas. And first of all, I want to thank you for being a solid champion student. I know you got your license in 2006, and then in 2012, you got your broker's license. So I'm going to jump right in and just ask you what was sort of the reason, the defining moment that you decided to go into real estate? Did you have a defining moment or what prompted you?
So, as I reflect on that question, I hesitated because I didn't think that I necessarily had that defining moment. But when I look in my past, in seventh grade, I wrote a paper on homelessness. It was probably due to some struggles we were having. At the time, I didn't necessarily know why I had chosen the topic. Reflecting on it, I know exactly why. And so when you're maybe faced with the fact that you may not have that safe space at the end of the day, I think home ownership means all the more to you. And that was probably my defining moment in seventh grade.
Wow, you just affected myself and everyone watching you. We are now most definitely on the just end of our seats, very interested in what you have to say. But writing that paper in seventh grade was maybe like the beginning of who would know down the road that you would be a top producer in real estate, and that would be your love and passion. And I want to say that to those that are watching us because this woman was the person of the year in 2020. She was the 2022 Texoma's best. And in 2019 and in 2018 and in 2017, you got that honor so many times. And as I mentioned, the 2020 Wichita Falls Salesperson of the Year. So all of those accolades and all built around this career that you started. And I believe you were a transplant from South Dakota.
It was North Dakota.
It was North Dakota. Okay.
Yeah.
And those that are watching would also be surprised to know you were in the, was it the Air Force?
Yes.
And you ended up in Wichita Falls. You wanted to get back to South Dakota, and it didn't happen. And then you fell in love with, I think it's Robert, and he is with the police department in Wichita Falls, correct?
Yes, that's right.
And you never got back to South Dakota. What happened?
Well, I was stationed here initially for some training, And I had hoped for orders back home to North Dakota. And when I didn't receive those, I was stationed here for a short while. And while I was here, I stopped and asked my husband for directions. And the rest is history. The Air Force brought both of us to Texas, and then Texas kept us. I mean, we love it here. We've been here 22 years now.
Okay, I promise I am not going to say South again. It is North Dakota, period. When I read your bio, you said how you were praying to get back home, and yet the amazing uh, direction that you went that was out of your hands, staying in Texas was the best thing that ever happened to you. And going into real estate in 2006 and getting your license, you have been so very kind to talk about Champion School of Real Estate so much, and I thank you for that. Looking back, what courses would you say helped you the most? Was it contracts, agency, anything come to mind that you sort of drew from more than any other course?
So I love all of the contract courses because one of my favorite things is when someone asks me a question, whether it's clients or fellow colleagues, as I say, what does the contract say? So I love to take a contracts course and really dig in and learn more about them. But I remember a particular course I took, it was just for CE, probably in 2015 or 16, and it was about positively outstanding customer service, something along those lines. And I always love to give someone that wow experience. So I really enjoyed that class. And then one of the biggest standouts to me about Champions was when I went to look into getting my broker's license. It can be confusing. And I picked up the phone and I called Champions. And you had someone there that built my course for me and told me what I would need to take to get my broker's license. So all of those courses were some of my favorite, probably because I knew what I was working towards and I was excited about what the outcome would be. So those are some of my
We
favorite moments.
love to give everyone who's interested our broker plan of attack. And we literally will look up all the courses that you've taken. We know how many each person needs. And sometimes from the get-go, just as soon as you get a license, we want to give you that plan of attack so you know how many classes that you need to take over the next couple of years. And as you know, any courses that you take, just the more you learn, the more you earn. And that's the truth. And at the same time, you have a couple of wonderful nationally known designation courses. You have the CRB, which is a beautiful upper level broker course to be a certified residential broker. And then you have the ePro, which is also excellent for understanding and learning to use your technology platforms. And then the number one most popular designation out there with NAR is the ABR course. So congratulations on those designation courses. And we teach all of those at Champions, but I absolutely believe with all my heart that the best training is when you get into the office and you get really good in-office training. So tell our students what it was like when you got your license. Did you interview with multiple companies? Have you moved around a lot to different companies? How did you decide to be at Hershey Realty or Realtors?
So I initially went online and I was searching different brokerages, and I noticed that the brokerage that I decided to land on had an online submission form. And so I put my information in there, and the broker reached out to me and set up an interview. So I interviewed with him. I also called on two other agencies in town, and they sort of told me, get your license and just come talk to us once you're licensed. And the one I had interviewed with that responded to me, he spent probably 2+ hours in the office with me before I was ever licensed. And he assured me that if I went ahead and finished my coursework and passed my test, he would have a place for me. And I have been here for 18 years. I have always related it. This is going to sound like a silly analogy, but over the years, people will call and they'll ask, have I ever considered going to a different office or looking at other options in the marketplace? And I just tell them it's like a first marriage and I'm really happy. And why would I look elsewhere? I don't think that the grass is always greener on the other side. And there's lots of shiny objects and distractions and ways to spend money in real estate. But I think the basics and really growing where you are and making the best of the tools you have available is the way to go. But that's, my personal story, and I haven't seen the need to shop elsewhere. I was careful in the interview process, and I think that's
Exactly. Exactly. We tell brand new people, interview with at least 3 companies. And if you still don't find the one that you feel like you want to land with, interview with 3 more, because the best that can happen is what happened with you, where you find the place that you are at home, you start doing your business, you're branded with that company. And congratulations for Hershey Realtors and yourself that it was a good marriage from the beginning. And I know when you got your broker's license, you said they later brought you in to be the assistant broker for the office. So I can just see you are a wow kind of agent. And little do our people know what a wow agent you are, because you sent the video over that we're going to show in a little bit, where you're out showing your listings and you're on rollerblades. How did that come about?
a lot of my marketing activities are part of my hobby. So whether I am on the trail, walking, jogging, elliptigoing, that's another interesting tool I use to work out, or skating, I like to think, how can I bring my hobby and who I am offline, online to be a part of my business? And so I just thought, what cooler way to show a little bit more of myself and have my clients or potential clients get to know me a little bit better, and also advertise my listings and advertise my business. It's a fun way to also showcase the community and show what we have. If it's a military family and they're relocating and I'm out on the Circle Trail, showing them what a great trail system we have and the new listing I might have coming on market, that might speak something different to them than just your standard new listing post. And so ultimately, if it serves my
Absolutely.
customers better, I'm willing to try it.
Absolutely. It caught our attention when we looked at it. And the whole time I'm thinking, don't fall, Tanya. We need you next week. But obviously, you are a very assured rollerblader, because you were showing the neighborhood, you were showing the houses, and just talking away while the video was going on your rollerblades. What is an elliptical? What did you say? Elliptical goer? Elliptical?
It's elliptical.
What is elliptigo? Okay.
And
Because I love the elliptical, but what are you doing on it?
you might love the elliptigo. I'll have to send you another video. So it's just like an elliptical machine, but it is on the bike trail. You have wheels and you're traveling along on an elliptical machine that's called an elliptigo.
Okay, you're a very balanced person, I can tell. You're an athlete. And yes, you were in the Air Force, weren't you? Okay. So interesting. And I love it that we have a chance to talk with you today. So we have many new people that are watching, listening. And as they sit there in their chair, whether it's our virtual class or in the classroom, they're wondering, how did she really get started? And if you would share with us, I don't think you had a built in referral system because you were from another state. And so, how did you get yourself just jumpstart in real estate?
So, through the training that I received in the brokerage that I selected, I learned about prospecting, and we were taught the basics, and it's what I use today as well. But I immediately jumped in and I held open houses. So I didn't have any listings to hold open. But in week 2, I knew that there were other listings in the office I could hold open. So I went to those experienced agents who had, long list of listings that they couldn't hold open all on their own. And I asked their permission to be the hostess. And immediately on week 2, I met my first buyer and my first seller all in one at that Sunday open house. I didn't know what I was doing. I was trained and I was licensed, but I knew that I would be able to figure out the answers and I had support if I had questions. And I thought, boy, that felt good. That worked. I think I'm going to continue to do that. And so I continued just Sunday after Sunday holding those open houses. I also took what we call floor time. Some offices hold it still or have it, some don't, but we have floor time where the general public can call up here on our listings or walk through the front door. And those calls are divided among agents that take floor time. And so I would take those calls. I learned how to ask good questions, see if they had problems I could help solve. And so floor time, open houses, and I also called on expired listings and for sale by owners. Again, these aren't shiny objects. They weren't leads I was buying. I have never bought a lead. Not that that's not a business model as well, but I just held those open houses and I wasn't afraid to ask questions and got comfortable because open houses are a smaller group and more one-on-one conversation. And I was introverted, I'm shy, but that was an audience I was comfortable with. And so I just did a great job at open houses and I built my business really through those very core basic.
I love it. When you say core basics, we call them the exact same thing. They are the basics. It's like, why try to reinvent the wheel when time has proven these basics work? And what you just talked about works. Asking experienced agents to hold their houses open. You get to meet buyers, potential buyers / seller, and calling on expireds and working floor time. It's about 50-50 with the number of offices that don't do floor time anymore. But for new people, I think it's a bit of a loss because you get any prospects that call in over the telephone. And I just brought out my book. That was perfect timing. You didn't know I was going to do this. 30 Days to Success, where it's telling you for the first 30 days of your business what to do to get into your business called real estate. And exactly what Tanya said to all of you, it works. And you're proof positive that it works. At what point did you feel like you started getting personal referral? How long did it take you to start getting personal referrals?
So personal referrals were few and far between for the first couple of years because I didn't have a sphere of influence since I wasn't a local. But really, my business started to shift around year 3, and I received a lot more referrals. People started recognizing my name because I was also in those open houses every weekend. I became a familiar face. That's probably when I really started seeing more of those referrals come in. And then I would say around year 6 or 7 is when it really heavily shifted in my business. And a lot of it came from reputation and referrals.
Well, it does take a few years for your name to get out there, for you to brand yourself. And so many people, they are in it for like a year and a half, And that's right when their business should start taking off. And that's when they're like, oh, I can't do this. It's not for me. Really, as you just expressed, the first couple of years, you're just like a farmer planting the seed, and then your crop starts growing, and then you have a harvest in, a few years down the road. In between that, are you going to have closings? Yes, because you're going to do the basics, holding the houses open. You're going to do prospecting and all of those basic things that we know work in real estate. But I promise you, every person I've interviewed, not a single one came into the business with a center of influence that was already in place to help them get started. Everybody had to start by getting their name out, being visible. So, what do you do in the community? You've been awarded, as I mentioned. Wow, you've been honored as community leader. And what all do you do as a volunteer to get your name out there?
Well, over the years, I've been involved in a number of different organizations, and some of it has just been me opting to get behind causes without necessarily being an official member of even their board. Uh, for instance, the local area food bank was near and dear to my heart. So one year I decided to just do a food drive for them and took donations. And I had, all the affiliates in my business that know me and know my heart also reached out to me and wanted to match my donations. One year I did it for how many closings I had in a month. I made a specific donation amount. I'm also involved with a local cat rescue. It's just maybe 2 hours a week, and I volunteer at PetSmart in their cattery and help them with the cats there. I also like to have a group of just my past clients that's on Facebook. And it's my client appreciation group because I can no longer touch them all individually, at Christmas time and deliver something. I have created a group that is my own little community, and I'm able to give back to them in a private way that's just my people, and encourage them to also support one another and their businesses. So I've just encouraged them to support each other as my past clients. So they're a part of their own community within Facebook with me. So that's helped me as well.
Well, I have to ask, do you have cats since you volunteered at PetSmart a couple of hours on a regular basis? Are you a cat lover, a dog lover, or you just do that because you feel like it's a good thing to do?
I love all the fur babies. So from squirrels to dogs to cats and everything in between. So
Okay.
yes, I definitely have a cat. I grew up with dogs, but as you know, realtors aren't home a lot. So I don't have a dog right now. That doesn't mean I won't have one in the future. But I am a cat mom. Yes, I have one. Yes. And I have one that the neighbors decided to leave behind, which happens as well.
So you love all the fur babies out there.
Yes.
I want you to please let us know, because I know the answer to this, but I think it's going to surprise so many that are watching you today. What was the largest number of transactions in 1 year that you did on your own?
I'm looking at my board because I always keep my numbers right here at all times. And it was 97.
97.
Yes.
And you choose to work on your own, right?
I do choose to work on my own. I don't have a transaction coordinator. I don't have an assistant. I don't have a buyer's agent. This is just Tanya Ruff. Yep.
That is absolutely phenomenal. That being said, I mean, I hope all of our new people watching know that is just absolutely fantastic. Congratulations. I mean, you shouldn't look so wonderful. You should look tired and worn out, and you don't. But that is outstanding. That being said, how do you manage your workaday world? How do you stay organized in order to take care of those many transactions?
I have a checklist for my checklist. So if you don't mind, I'll share the CRM I use. I use a product called Top Producer. They've been around a very, very, very long time.
I love Top Producer. Yes, we used to teach Top Producer early on.
So that's the program I use. There's many out there, but it essentially allows me to create my checklist within the program. And when I have a buyer or seller or a lead that I want to put into the program, I can apply a checklist so that I don't forget a single detail in those transactions, and I can track all of my dates. So that keeps me organized. And really, I look at that as my assistant. As long as I'm doing the input and I'm getting the details in there, I know that if I open that up on a daily basis and I work my checklist, I will get everything I need to done. And that's what has carried me through. I didn't adopt it until, maybe year, 6 or 7, maybe even year 8, I finally put an official program in place. And it has just helped me significantly go to bed at night and not worry about whether or not I've ordered a survey or an option period is ending or whatever the case may be.
It's mainly those option periods that scare everyone to death, but you set them up on your alarm and you're able to manage them. But truly, congratulations to have no transactional assistant, no buyer's agent, no team. You are just pretty amazing to do it on your own, and obviously doing it successfully, very successfully. Do you work from home very often? Do you work in the office? What is your choice? Because in today's world, so many people at first wanted to stay at home all the time. Then some decided to come back, and others have said, I'll never come back. What is your special direction working? Home or not? In the office or what?
I know that I am most productive right here in the office. I am surrounded by other individuals who are career-minded, problem-solving. There's hall talk that goes on about real estate that I can learn, they can learn, we can brainstorm together. I had a home office when I started in the business because it's so cool. Oh, it's so cool. I can have a home office. I wasn't productive there. And I also never ended my day. So when we remodeled several years ago, I decided I don't need a home office. I am most productive in the office. I like to be in the office. I like a brick and mortar location. I like my clients to meet me here. When I'm at home, I'm just not in work mode. And I don't want to be, nor do I think my family really wants me to be. So I like to get up. I like to dress up. I like to show up. And I like to be in the office. And I am typically in the office 6 to 7 days a week. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You don't do that kind of volume by working from home 3 days a week. Maybe you could. I couldn't. But I really enjoy being in the office atmosphere.
Now, how close is the office from your home? How long is your commute?
That's a great question. And I tell new agents this because they may have a question and they're at the office and they're worried about how long it's going to take me to get here. I live 4 minutes away for a reason. I want to be able to get here as fast as I need to get here. So it's very close. I even ride my scooter or rollerblades over here to the office from time to time on the weekend.
I love that. I'm going to come to Wichita Falls just to watch you on all of your little fun toys that you have. That is amazing to me and so fun. You said something that is so smart that I hope everyone heard, and that is, well, you've said a lot of smart things, but you made the point that if you're at the office, when you leave the office, then you really feel like you can go home and have a personal life. And wow, 2020, when we were all working from home all the time, you're right. You, I, everyone, you were working all the time because you were at home. And yet going to an office, I love going to my office, and I office at our North Houston campus. But I do know at the end of the day, when I close the door, I am now home for free time at home. And it's almost a mental type thing, I guess. And that being said, as well, with all the hours, and you said, let's not sugarcoat it. I sometimes work 6, 7 days a week. What do you like to do when you do take time off? And what is it? Do you go out of town? Do you stay in town? And about how many hours a week do you feel like you put into your career?
I love to be home. I think that's why I'm so well suited for this career, because I think my home is my very favorite place to be. I don't take a lot of vacations. And in my free time, I do a lot of things that could be considered marketing activity. You know, I will go rollerblade and I will make a video while I'm rollerblading. That's a hobby to me and how I like to spend my free time. I love to bake. That's another big hobby of mine. And that has also become a part of my real estate business, because when they attend my open houses, they know they're going to get these beautifully individually wrapped cookies that came straight from my kitchen. And so that, you know, is that considered work because I'm baking on a Saturday night for that Sunday open house, or is it considered free time? They kind of go all hand in hand for me at this point, because I enjoy it and it also helps my business. So those hobbies and the way I spend my free time also could be work in others' eyes. So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you're talking about baking. And in order to get your name out there, so many people coming into the business are worried about how much money do I need to get started. And it made me think of one of my interviewees from Katy, Texas, Joanne Hanson. And she said when she got her license, she went, I want to say Sam's, a place like Sam's, and bought a bunch of dough, bread dough. Went home, baked a lot of fresh baked bread, wrapped it up, put her business card, dropped it off at different neighbors' homes, and said, use me in real estate and I will save you dough. And she said she got her first listing that way. So I just was going to make the point that it doesn't take a lot of money, but it does take showing up. And you said that already. In the morning, you've got to get up. I love to say, get up, suit up, and show up. Because so many of our world today, they just cannot get up and function and realize if it's to be, it's up to me. And just by the mere fact of getting up, and I'm going to say adding that beautiful smile that you just gave us, because smiling is awesome and it makes people know that you're approachable. But please, everybody, dress at least like you're in the profession that you're in. You look gorgeous, beautiful. And I know our students in the classroom right now are more casual, but once you get into the business, you're helping people with the number one, usually the number one largest investment in their life. They want to do business with someone that looks legitimate. How do you feel about dressing for success? And just curious, does your office still talk about that in today's world, or what is your thoughts on that subject?
I definitely have my own standards. And I think that the way I dress will impact how others feel about me and treat me, and how I feel about myself and how I treat myself. And I think it does make a difference. I know that there's a lot of opinions, and this can be a really sensitive
There
topic.
are. There
And
are.
and people will say it depends on the market you're in, but no matter what, I would always rather be overdressed than underdressed, because it's that important to me for them to feel important. Um, I personally, I have a higher standard for myself. How others want to present themselves is up to them. Our office doesn't necessarily have any sort of policy, but we certainly pride ourselves on being career minded and professional realtors who are full time and well trained, and present our brand to the public in a way that is consistent. And I think of that every day I go out, whether or not I am going to the grocery store after hours, or I'm making a return at a store on the weekend, I still want to be a good brand ambassador for myself and for the company I'm with. So it is important to me to dress up. And I have that sign on my wall over here about getting up and showing up and
Oh,
having.
really? It's just so easy to remember, so easy to do. And yet, for 80% of our population, it's hard for them to get up, dress up, or suit up, and then show up. But once you're your own boss, which we are now as entrepreneurs, and in real estate or loan appraisal inspection, working for yourself, you have to do those basic things and show up and be prepared. We, for a reason, have all of our instructors dress for success. And not to beleaguer the point, but on a regular basis, Tanya, we have companies that ask, Rita, can you supply one of your teachers to come to our office and talk about dressing like a professional? Because sometimes the manager doesn't want to touch that subject because it can be a bit controversial. But we're still saying, if you're showing country, farm and ranch, dress in your jeans and your boots and dress the part. But at the same time, when you're meeting customers, dress as though you are expecting to make a sale. Dress as though you are expected to be a professional. And it just absolutely demonstrates that you're so much more sincere about your career when you do that. And it's also part of our book on being successful as well. So I had asked you about the fact that you are a one-woman operation, so to speak. And with that being said, when you started out, did you use a coach, or was your company your training coach? How do you feel about new people hiring a coach to get them started?
So the brokerage that I aligned with offered in-house training right away. So when I got my license and I came here, I immediately entered the in-house training program. And that was really my coach, was my broker. And he's still my coach and he's still my broker. And I just happen to help him coach now. But that's what we offer here. I think it's a great idea if you don't have a broker that is your coach or someone in the office that is charged with that, to have someone that you can get that coaching from, because licensing and book work is important and it's different than what the in the trenches work is. And you have to know some of that as well. I'm also a new agent mentor here in the office. So the new agents have me to help mentor them. The existing agents do, of course, as well. But I think it's important to lean on people that are places you want to go and seek them for their knowledge and get as much education as you can about the business.
Great advice. And we do suggest when our students are interviewing the company to ask about the training program. And also ask, is it free if I go with your company, or do I need to pay for it? Those are really important questions because we do want all of our new people to get trained once they decide where they're going to land as a licensee. It definitely is so helpful. You've been in the business since 2006. You now have an amazing built-in referral system. How do you keep up with all of those you've done business with in the past? So on an ongoing basis, can you tell our students, what do you do to reach out and touch those people that have done business with you?
Sure. So that group I talked about on Facebook is my client appreciation group. And I have, not everyone's on Facebook. That's the difficult part, but there are over 400 people there and they must be past clients. And I will do events for them. So I will rent the movie theater. When Barbie came out, of course, we were there. and I invited them to come. And so I stand there, I greet all of them as they come, I give them snacks and candy and drinks. And my clients, I very carefully sit them together or seat them together if I feel like they're people that should know each other. So I'm able to also introduce my clients and make sure that they make some friends in the evening as well. Within that group, I also do other appreciation events, which I've hired a photographer before to offer family photos. How often does that go on the back burner and people just don't plan them? So I planned it for them, had a photographer outside of my house that happens to have a nice place for photography, family photography to be taken. And so I paid for and provided those family portraits. Everyone came through my home. And I was able to greet them in my home and then introduce them to my photographer. I did that for 2 days in a row, just back to back. Clients would come through for their photo shoot. So I do all kinds of things to involve them and to get them in front of me, because I'm at a point where I can no longer touch them individually at their home, maybe at Christmas time or Thanksgiving. So I create events so they can come to me, and they also have something they're benefiting by doing so.
That is such a generous, smart idea. And who doesn't want to have a family photo taken? And you're taking care of that for them. It's very, very kind.
Well, they've given me so much. So I want to make sure I'm giving back. That's all.
If you were to give just a few pieces of advice to new people watching and listening today, what advice would you give to brand new people?
You don't have to know it all before you get out there and do something. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. This sounds a little too direct, but I'll say to new agents, get out of your way, because my broker told me to get out of my way when I started. And it was the best piece of advice he gave me, because I want to be planned and perfect and organized. And it's just not going to be that way right away. You're not going to know everything. It's going to take some time and some transactions that teach you a few things. So I would say to not be afraid to make mistakes, and to maybe get out there and not know all the answers, but not be afraid to find out the answers. And I think continuous learning is the minimum requirement for success. And that comes from one of my favorite books. And it's just so true. It's so important. When you think you know it all, you'll be reminded you don't, and there's more to learn. So I think continuous learning is key.
I love it. You're saying just do it. Don't be afraid to take that big giant step and start doing your career. Just do it. And so often, especially the analytical personality wants to get everything just lined up exactly right before they take that big first step. And you are just definitely proof positive that you went out to the open houses and just, as you told me in our conversation earlier, that you really didn't know what you were doing, but at the same time, it was very successful. So just do it. When you started out, did you have fear going into being an independent contractor and knowing it's all up to you to make an income? Did you have fear, and how did you work with the fear?
I definitely had fear. There was fear of whether or not I was going to be able to do this, and whether or not I was going to be able to support myself in the process in the beginning, until you have that first closing. It's not going to happen right away, and it takes time to close on a home. So there were certainly fears, but I had also proven to myself over the years that no matter what I was faced with, I wasn't afraid to do the work. I may not have always been the most knowledgeable, but I was always willing to work hard. And I knew that I had that in me, and that if I just buckled down and I focused and I took this seriously, and I took every single piece of advice and training I was given and I put it into action. I didn't just write it down and make a pretty checklist, but I actually put it into action. I knew I would succeed, and I had that confidence in myself. I had to, and there is some fake it till you make it. But I had a lot of fears. I was very, very uncomfortable in a social setting and in large groups. But I knew that if I continued, I call it stretching my rubber band. And I just knew if I continued to stretch that and to push outside my comfort zone, that I would grow and that I could do this. And I just had that belief in myself. I also had a supportive family and a supportive spouse. And I think that that is important as well. And they can't be overlooked because this is a full family business, whether or not they are in real estate.
It is. It really is. And I always ask that question because I always know the answer is yes, I had fear. And I say it because knowing the 800 to 1200 that are watching today, they are thinking, I am so fearful. Where is this paycheck going to come from? And I want all of them to know, people like yourself, everyone I've interviewed, they've all said, I had no idea where that paycheck was going to come from, how I was going to pay my bills, but I had faith in myself. And the cool thing about our industry is no one puts a lid on how much you make. It's totally what you do yourself and produce. And at the end of the year, you get to pat yourself on the shoulder and say, yay for me. I did it. I did it. Well, you are absolutely so enjoyable to get to talk with. And I so thank you for your time today. Tanya Ruff with Hershey Realtors in Wichita Falls, Texas. To end with our little talk, is there any advice you might give to your younger self starting out in real estate? Would you have changed anything along the way had you known then what you know today?
I don't think I would change a single thing because I am so happy with where I am today. Just like from childhood on, I wouldn't change a single lick of my story because I have to love where I am today and what I'm doing. I might tell her that it's all going to be okay. Yeah.
You know, I love that answer. And it's so true. It's like, why would I change anything, Rita? Look where I am. And I can service 90 transactions by myself.
Please don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously there were mistakes and challenges, but
absolutely.
I'm okay with that because of where it is today.
Absolutely. And we also grow by those challenges and those mistakes. All of that works. Thank you so much for being a champion. And I want to remind everyone watching us today that tomorrow you'll be able to see the interview again on our Champions YouTube channel. They can take notes at that time as well. I'm sure there are many things that you heard Tanya say that you didn't have a chance to write down. Most definitely useful information that will help you in your new career. And then we'll be taking this wonderful interview and moving it into audio for our podcast of real estate superstars today. And people will get to hear and see your beautiful career and the person that you are for quite a while. So thank you for sharing with us today. Any last words you would like to say to anyone that's watching or listening today?
I think that if you're looking for a meaningful career and to have a positive impact on people's lives, I can't think of anything better than real estate. So I'm excited for you and I'm excited for the career you're about to embark on. And I hope that it will be as wonderful as it has been for me.
Fantastic. And they are thinking, we do too. Thanks so much for your time today, Tanya. And thank you, students, for your business that you give us at Champions School of Real Estate. And I know you're inspired by Tanya Ruff from Wichita Falls. And we also have prior interviews with our Successful Tendencies books. And if you need to get motivated, if you need to get good information on how to get started, you can buy these on our Champion School of Real Estate website. You can go into the offices at our campuses. And with our next volume coming out, we hope to have Tanya in our Successful Tendencies of Real Estate Champions book also. So enjoy the rest of your classes. Thank you for your business at Champion School of Real Estate. And Tanya Ruff, Hershey Realtors, Wichita Falls, Texas, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.